You are now tuned into Beautiful You, Authentic You Radio. Here are your hosts, Irena Tenen and Nakia P. Evans. Beautifully living, authentically in Christ.
Nakia P. Evans on the line. Nakia, are you here?
I'm here. How you doing?
I'm great. Are you excited?
I'm always excited, always happy to be here. Just, sharing, and I love this show. I love our show. I love what we're doing. I love the guests that we have. I'm excited for the guests that we have today.
I'm like, wow, we started the show August 21st, and every show, every week has been amazing. It has been amazing. We've had some awesome guests. We've learned a lot. We've grown a lot. We've networking, meeting new people, and I get a lot of great feedback from our show as well. So I'm excited, and today is no different. We also have two amazing women tonight. Up first, we have Seema Clark-Torian. Are you on the line, Seema?
I'm right here. How you doing, everybody?
Well, great. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Awesome. We're so excited to have you as a guest on our show tonight and to learn about you and our guests to hear from you. So first, tell us who you are. Who is Seema Clark-Torian?
Oh, wow. Who is Seema Clark-Torian? How much time y'all got? An hour, two,
you got
3
30
hours?
minutes.
No, I'm just playing. Oh, wow, it's Seema Clark-Torian. I am a coach, life coach, and relationship coach. That's where I kind of started a few years back, and it has just moved into so many different things. And from that, I've become a motivational speaker and an author, and I have a T-shirt business. So there's lots and lots of facets of Seema Clark-Torian, which I think is a wonderful thing. So I spend a lot of time coaching singles, which is, I'm very, very passionate about the single ladies. Nothing against the ladies that are married. God bless you as well. But I found myself single again, and I just wanted to take, I remember praying, asking God, what would you have me do with where I am in my life right now, which I try to teach people instead of asking God why, ask what. And so what would you like for me to do? And so from that blossomed, getting my coaching certification. I'm spending a lot of times with the single ladies, and we focus more on, not necessarily marriage. Hopefully if that's what they desire, they can, the Lord will show them how to do that. But I focus more on being the best person you can be as a single woman, because I feel like a lot of times we, once we're single, whether we've always been single or we're single again, we feel like it's a curse, and I didn't like that. And so that's basically what I do, and I've met many, 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 many wonderful women all over the country, really, just trying to impact them to be the best they can be as a single woman. I am a mother of two wonderful boys. I live here in Kernersville, North Carolina, and they are Jeremiah and Jacoby, and I love, love, love them to death. They're spoiled rotten, but they are my babies. But I do know at some point they're going to grow up to be, I hope, and my prayer is wonderful men of valor. Of course, I do a lot, but I don't neglect my two babies. So that's pretty much. I still work full time, so I'm one of them busy, busy, busy ladies. But with God's help and some good time management skills, I'm able to get it all done. So that's who I am.
Awesome. I love it. Awesome. Now, as a single woman, that's me, okay? I would ask, like, what kind of things would you tell women? Because, I would say, me being single as well, it seems as though if you're not married or you're not in a relationship by a certain time, sometimes it's kind of looked down on. Like, okay, so what's wrong with me? Why am I not married? Why am I still single? Things like that. So what type of things do you take women through as far as, helping them to enjoy being single?
That's a very good question. The first thing I actually do when there's a young lady who comes to me and she this is how it usually works out. She comes, she's like, I've been in a relationship before, they didn't work out, and they usually come to me broken and probably abandoned and maybe rejected, feeling a little bit used and abused, and obviously I've been there myself. So what I devised, and this is something that I do during my coaching sessions, and usually they're about 4 to 6 weeks that I spend with each lady, and we really, because I have a background in psychology, so we really spend a lot of time on them, really, because I think they come to me thinking, I'm going to give them a chance to, well, he did this, and he did this, and we do talk about that, but we also talk about our choices as women and how we find ourselves in the places that we find ourselves in. So the first week, we kind of talk about how they grew up. Again, because, I'm getting my master's in psychology right now, and one of the things, and I've been to many therapy sessions myself, and I'm not ashamed to say that, you have to go back to the beginning to try to understand why something is. So I take them back to the beginning. We talk about how they grew up, what were some of the examples of relationships that they saw. And we usually find a lot of times there were not many good examples. And so that's one of the things that we kind of look at. One of the things I learned at church was, people are identity shapers in your life, and they can shape your identity in a positive way or in a negative way. So we talk about that. Then we move to week number 2, where we spend a lot of time on how they feel about themselves. And I find that women usually have low self-esteem in some way, including myself. Just because a woman is educated, she has a nice body, she's beautiful, does not have anything to do with her self-esteem. You find that most of those ladies have some areas where they have low self-esteem. So we talk about that. The third week, we basically talk about what I call a relationship resume. You have a professional resume, and when you go to a job, you give them your resume. And from that piece of paper, they can tell a lot about you professionally, from way back when you first got out of college until now. So we do the same thing with our relationships. They write down their significant relationships, and we talk about the pros and cons of all. What did you learn in them? And when you look back on it, what did it teach you? What do you wish you could have done better? We do that. In the last session, we talk about, now that we've gone through all that, what are some of the things that you feel like are deal breakers? And as a single woman, I feel like we're dating, but we don't really know what we want. We know what we don't want because we had something in a relationship before, and we're like, I can't deal with that again. But we kind of don't know what we want. So we try to put it on paper, really. Say, what is it that you want? Like, what are the deal breakers? And then what are the things that are preferences, not necessarily standards, things that you would like to have in a mate, but you're willing to compromise just a little bit. And believe it or not, I try to help them to make that as reasonable as possible. There's some good guys out there, ladies, that might not be 6'2" or 6'5". Okay? So that's on the list a lot. Oh, girl, he's got to be tall. So what I would say to the single ladies is spend more time on figuring all that out with yourself. That way you can date confidently. You know what you bring to the table. And confidence, to me, not arrogance, but confidence is so important. Because you're right, and if you're single now, I saw this thing on Facebook one day where this guy said if a woman is 32, never been married, never had children, there's something wrong with her. Of course, that really upset me because that's totally not true. Totally not true. I don't know who told him that, but it's totally not true. There's many wonderful ladies out, and maybe they haven't found the person yet, or maybe they're coming out of a situation where they did find someone and didn't work out, and they're just trying to heal and be whole until the next person comes or the next person that God brings them. So I would say to all the single ladies, you've got to change your perception when you're single, how you view it first. Because if you view it as a curse, then that's how other people will view it. I view it as such a blessing. It is an opportunity to do more for the Lord. You don't have to worry about a husband I mean, if you're single with children, you have to, deal, with being a mother to your children. But you have, Nakia, and you can probably attest to this, you have more time to be used by the Lord in a mighty, mighty way. And once you get married, you can't do all of those things and be an effective wife and mother. So use it as a moment of, it's an awesome opportunity to just kind of be whoever it is you desire to be. And I look at that as a blessing. That is a wonderful blessing. So I try to teach the ladies to look at it from that perspective.
I think that is great because, truthfully, people don't look at it like that. Especially the older, people get like, oh, or, you know how little girls grow up, oh, I want to be married by this age, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And if they're not, in addition to other people saying stuff, well, what's wrong? When you going to get married? They're doing that to themselves because they haven't gotten married, or maybe they have and they've been divorced, but that's not what they saw for themselves. So I think it's very, very important. I love the steps that you go through to help the women. I love that because I do believe that it starts with them. It starts with them. And, yes, they do. I want tall, dark, and handsome. Well, that might not be what God has for you, number one. Number two, looks are not everything. What about the person's heart? What about how he treats you? Yes, that's what initially draws you to him. But, okay, what else does he have to offer? What is he bringing to the table other than that? And after a while, that fades. So then what you got, So I love that. I love that. So you recently were co-author in a book called The Single Truth. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I did. It's with several other authors, and I think most of them are from the New Jersey area. I think one young lady is from California, and then you have me, little old me down here in North Carolina. But we did a collaboration together and had so much fun putting that together. And there were several topics given, and we all picked which ones we felt like we could offer most. And there were things like being single in the church, being a single parent, co-parenting, preparing for marriage, walking in abstinence, all the kind of things that I believe singles deal with, whether they talk about it or not, particularly in the church. And sometimes some people deal with them better than others. So the book is really what we wanted it to be is a conversation piece. So you're going to have different perspectives in the book on different subjects. So, for example, I wrote about what if marriage never comes, me and a couple other people. We wrote about our perspective as what if marriage never comes. Now, I've been married before, so I know there is probably some listeners who have never been married might be saying, okay, well, yeah, she can say what if marriage never comes. Well, she already had a chance to do it. But I kind of talked about in my section when I wrote about that, like, what if marriage never comes? That's a great question. Like, what if it never comes? What if God's will for your life is that it never comes? So I talk about making the best of it. You got to make the best of it because, if it never comes, I wouldn't want to leave here and have used my whole life waiting and worshiping and I guess worshiping this idea of getting married and it never comes. So the book, again, is supposed to be a conversation piece. It has really short segments from each author about all those topics. And hopefully, once you read it, you're going to read several perspectives of different things, and which will open your eyes to maybe how you view that particular subject. I also wrote on being a single parent. Of course, I have 2 boys. I also wrote on the stigma of being divorced in the church, which for me, and I didn't really go into detail in the book, but there's things that people say to you at church that can really damage your self-esteem. So, you got to be prepared. If you make the decision, the choice, again, it goes back to our choices. If you make that decision or that choice to get divorced, you got to be, I always say gird up your loins because there are going to be some church folk that have things to say that's going to hurt your feelings. But it's okay because God, I said in the book, God hates divorce, much like he hates all sin, but he does not hate you. He loves you. He loves you. You're still to die for. So, again, the book covers lots of facets of being single, and we call it The Single Truth.
That's great. I like that. I do. And, just hearing you talk about, what if marriage never comes? When you said that, I was right. I was like, wait, like that's a good question. What if it never comes? Because we look at that. I remember, kind of freaking out when I turned 30, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm nowhere where I wanted to be, where I thought I should be. Growing up as a young girl, having these dreams and fantasies in my head about being married and being wife and all this other kind of stuff. And so when I hit 30, sometimes it's so much pressure, out there, not even just what we put on ourselves, but, influences from outside, family members, things like that. And, I'll have people come and say, well, Kia, like, what are you doing? Are you going to get in a relationship, or you're going to go and get married? I'm like, well, okay, okay, but it's so much pressure. But just to think of the outside part of that, like, what if that never comes? What if God's will is for you to be single? Like, that's a great question. I've never asked myself that question, so you actually made me kind of stop right there and think about that. So I really like that, because I truly believe that sometimes, like you said, we do get so caught up in the image of it. We get caught up in, wanting and desiring these things. And we don't really sit down and take time to see, okay, so these are things that I want. So what is God's will for my life? Is it God's will for me to be married? Is it God's will for me to remain single? I've met a lot of people who love being single and say that, that's the call on their life, is just, being single,
Right.
that they have no desire for marriage. And, I'll sit there and look at them like with a crazy face. I'll be like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean you don't want to be married? Like, who does that? But, that's absolutely great. I like that. Now,
yes.
I did not know that you were...
I think the same way, I work a full-time job, and I've been there for many, many years. I finally got to the place where, and where I work, we've been through 5 buyouts, right? So, you get nervous when people come in and they're like, oh my gosh, we're being bought out. And thanks be to God, we've been bought out 5 times. And when I say we, there's a group of us here in North Carolina that we've all worked together for many, many years, and we've been through these 5 buyouts. So, but what I begin to say to myself is, what if one of these buyouts comes in here and they're like, Seema, your time is up, right? So I had to start figuring out, okay, if that can happen, sort of like, what if marriage never comes? I can't worry about it. Again, you can't worry about if marriage never comes, then you're wasting valuable time. So prepare if it never comes. So I've prepared. If they came in tomorrow and said, we thank you for your service, but this will be your last day, I prepared. I have other streams of income that I can fall back on. So, and for that, I can live in peace. Live in peace. No worry. Like, stop worrying about if I'm going to get married. Live in peace, and then if God moves and bless you with someone, a beautiful person that you can marry, then to God be all glory. But if that never comes, you want to live the life that God has given you, which is short, to the best of your ability. To the best of your ability.
Wow. That's good stuff, Seema. Like, I really like that. I really do. Just knowing and understanding that, hey, that may be something that we want, but if it never comes, we have to prepare for that and still live life. It's great being single because yes, I can dedicate time to ministry. I can do this. I can do that. Rather than, what my life would be like if I was actually married, because then some of my time would be going somewhere else. So I definitely understand that. I did not know that you were a single parent. So this is something that I can agree with you on as well, because I'm a single mom. And, I want to ask you, you say you still work a full-time job. You still you do business. You're coaching. You have multiple streams of income. How do you handle it all?
Very good question. I get asked this all the time. I was at the ball field with my boys, football practice the other day, and I was asked this question, girl, how do you do all of that? I will tell you that in order to get it done, I have developed very good time management skills. I'm getting better and better at it. And I plan my week out on Sundays. What do I have? I look at my calendar and see, what do I have this week? I also get some, I work out. And my sons, it also helps me that my sons, they spend a week with their dad and a week with me. So I had to put that out there, too. So that gives me a little bit of advantage as well. Now, when they're with their dad that week, girl, I grind. But when they are with me, they have my undivided attention. Their time is protected. I protect the time that I have with my boys. So, for example, on Monday nights, we do movie night. That's their night. They know. So they're already like, okay, Monday, what kind of movie we're going to watch? We got to tell Mama which movie we're watching. So I make sure, because when I was growing up, my mom was a single parent as well. And she worked a lot, bless her heart, and she's not with us. She passed away in 1989, but she worked a lot. And she worked in a factory, so she did what you call swing shifts. And so she would work 8 to 4 one week, the next week 4 to 12, and the next week 12 midnight to 8 a.m. So we were always either at grandma's or somebody's house, auntie's. Well, my mom had us trained. You can't do this nowadays, but she had us trained where she would sleep, and she's like, you don't go nowhere. And we didn't move. These kids now, I wouldn't trust my kids, But anyway, and I just remember having to really deal with that as a young lady in therapy about my mom working so much and missing out. I didn't do a lot of activities growing up, but I ran track, I was in the band, and I was a straight-A student, so she missed a lot. And, as a child, people don't think that your child is not paying attention to the fact that you're not there. So I want to say to all the single parents out there, while you doing all these things that you're doing, you must make sure your children never feel like you put it before them. So I sit down with my children when I start doing Mary Kay. Monday nights is our night. Mommy needs one Monday night to go to a meeting. Could I have one Monday night? Yes, Mommy. And to make it up, we're going to do X, Y, Z. Okay? I talk to them, communicate, and let them have an option. And it's protected. My workout time is protected. So when people call me or inbox me and want me to do things, sometimes I have to say, no, Nakia. You're just going to have to say no. And it really doesn't matter how much money or whatever they're going to pay you because, again, I don't want my kids to ever say, Mama kicked us to the curb, because eventually they're going to get grown. Mm-hmm. They're going to want to hang out with their friends, and they're going to be looking at you like you have two heads, like, really, Mom? Like, I'm really going to be going to the movies with you? Not today. So with that in mind, I'm like, I got to give them their time now. So I do that, and we have a wonderful time, me and my two boys. I'm at their football games, not going to miss it. I'm at practice, not going to miss it. So I might move slower, Nakia, than somebody else. That's why I tell people, don't compare your stuff to people on social media, because you're going to drive yourself crazy trying to keep up. Because, I did that at the beginning. I'm like, oh, my God, I need to be doing this. I need to be doing this. But I might not be able to do it as fast as they do it. I'll get there, maybe slower, but I will get there because I got to have time for my children. So I would say plan your week out. Some weeks I only get one workout in, and I had to deal with that. One is better than zero, okay? So if I only get one in, thank you, Lord, which is usually on a Tuesday night, I go to Hip Hop Cycle. That's protected. And so with the boys go with me. I've made working out important in our life, and they go to the gym with me on Tuesday nights. So that's our time too. So I would say to all the single parents out there who are doing these things, trying to build something for themselves and their family, but make sure your children, if you have, your children know that they're a priority as well.
That is very, very important, especially my children are adults. So it's very important what you're saying because they're not, oh, Mommy, let's go to movie night. They're with their friends. They're with at the ages of 22 and 21. So it is very important, everything you said, to do now. And when they were little kids and in school, I made sure that I was actively involved in everything they did. And now as adults, they tell me, I remember when you used to do this and you used to do that. And so they do remember. and it's
Everything.
very important. Time is more important to children than money. It's more important.
That's right.
And time is not something that you can take back or get back. So it's very important. That's very important. So we are coming to an end. That was about the fastest 30 minutes of my life.
I know.
It will.
Before we go, if you want to give any closing words or anything, and also let the people know how to get in contact with you.
Okay, sure. First of all, thank you so much, ladies, for having me on tonight. I just, I want to say to all the ladies, and I hope, for those of you who follow me on social media, I would hope somebody asks a question today on social media, like when somebody comes to your page, how do you make them feel? And I would hope, and I've been told this a few times, that when they would come to my page that they would feel inspired. And I use my personal story to inspire. I mean, one of a movement I started last year was #ItHadToHappen. And that one little thing that God gave me has given me much peace about everything that has happened. We all got a story, all the good and the bad and the ugly that happened to me up until now, my 47 years of being here, that I just look at it like in some way, if you believe in Romans 8:28, then you believe that it had to happen for some reason, that God allowed it. So I would say to every person who is listening, female or male, whatever has happened, I believe that God allowed it and that he is able to complete the work that he began into you. He's going to perfect it if you let him. If you let him, and some of the things you don't understand that happen to you, one day the light bulb is going to go bing, and you're going to say, oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Now I understand why I went through that. And that has happened to me numerous times. I've asked and prayed and asked God why, and he didn't answer right away. But eventually the light bulb comes on. I'm like, that's why I had to go through that, because I've got to do this. So just keep that in mind. Everything, if you are a Christian and you believe in Romans 8:28, which I hope you do, you got to believe that everything. And once you look at your life that way, it becomes a whole new meaning. And actually, when I looked at it that way, it became my purpose. It helped me understand what I was here for, okay? So you can find me, obviously, on social media, Seema Clark-Torian. I also have a business page, Seema Clark-Torian, Life Coach. Of course, you can find me on Instagram at Seema Watina, as well as Twitter. I'm on there as well. Now, I'm not on Twitter as much as some people, but I'm there. Mm-hmm. I do have a website, www.butterflymomentswithseema.com. You can find me there. I'm always giving free 30-minute consults to all the ladies who come to me, because I want to make sure we're a fit first before I take your money, because I just feel like that's part of being having integrity. If we're not a fit, I won't take your money, because I want you to be a reference. I want you to tell people how much fun we had during our 4 to 6 weeks. So if you feel like that's something you like to do, that's on the first page of my website, and we can do a 30-minute consult. Like you guys said earlier, I had The Single Truth that just came out. I have several other books coming, so be on the lookout, and that's basically how you can find me.
All righty. Well, thank you so much. Right now we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we'll have our next guest. Stay tuned.
Consider all the worlds thy hands have made. I see the stars, I hear the that God his son not sparing sent him to die. I scarce can take it in, that on the cross thy burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to how great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee, how great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come with shouts of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart. Then I shall bow with humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee, how great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee, Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Lord, unto
Everyone, welcome back. We are back. It's your girl, Nakia P. Evans. We had an amazing first half of the show with Seema Torian, just discussing her book, The Single Truth, and also about her as far as being a single woman and, you know, looking at the perspective of, you know, being single and also what if marriage does not come. Great, awesome time that we had. I'm totally excited about our second half. We have our second guest with us, Roz Knighton Warfield. Are you here, love?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. I'm saying good morning, but good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I am excellent, and so honored. Just love you and Arena. You guys have set and positioned me in a different realm since having the opportunity to know you. So I appreciate this opportunity.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much. We're happy to have you with us. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Roz Knighton Warfield?
I'm going to go off of relational currency for what people, family and friends call me. I'm known as a smiling prayer warrior who creates power connections among women. I'm an author. I don't like to say a writer, but I have a story, and that blessed me to be able to author a book. So I think because I have a story, I'm able to write. And I tell anyone, you don't have to be a writer, but if you have a story and God downloads it to you, you can be able to tell the story and be able to share to others, and you have a niche to be able to deliver others from maybe an area of concern that may have been chaos in your life. I am a mentor and a coach, and I love to encourage people. I'm an entrepreneur, and that part is very new. I have two besties in my life, Dr. Japonica and Dr. Cassandra Bradford, who are what I call drug pushers, pushing me on to get to that level. So that's who I am. I'm a wife, and we are about to be a grandparent for the second time. Our daughter is in Atlanta. And that's a little bit about who I am. And I love to promote people. I love to connect people. And I know that God will bless me because I always like to give the ideals to people. But I have people who love me say, girl, you got to get paid. We got to do something about that. But I know God will honor it, and he has. I've seen glory to glory and faith to faith in my days. So I'm excited about my new journey in my life since doing what I call corporate graduation, or in other words, retirement from the corporation about 3 or 4 years ago. So I am really excited about life.
Awesome. That is awesome, awesome, awesome. We are so excited to have you, and I just love how we connected with you and that we were actually able to meet you through our telesummit. Share with us a little bit about what you shared during that telesummit.
During the telesummit, I was able to share, and so that the audience knows, I was introduced to the opportunity of you in Arena because of Cheryl Pelote Williamson, who is the visionary of Soul Source. And that was 23 soulful stories of women who relied on God during a difficult time in their life. And part of my story was about molestation, but the other part was being able to come out to understand the beauty of myself and to be authentic and to ask God to give me those people who I can trust to be able to do that. Through the molestation, that never came out until 31 years of age when I was about to get married, where for some reason, and when you deal with your conscious self, the evil one was saying, hey, you'll never have a good sex life with your husband. This is what's happening. And God has reigned in that area. So I'm very protective and about children's lives, people who have issues, and we know that if they have issues, hurting people hurt people. So we've got to understand that and be aware of it if we have children or grandchildren, to know the signs. Because I never told the story because my abuser, he was taller than my dad, and he was only 13 years old. So how do you tell a child to tell something when you're told not to and thinking that your parents are going to die? So that was a little bit about the story when I had the opportunity to do the soul source. And I was at a different level of freedom to be able to tell that, because I'm always meeting women, and the common denominator was that they had been molested. And I said, okay, Lord, maybe I'm not doing the right purpose. What should I be doing? So when Cheryl asked me to be one of the writers for the story, I just had to pray and soak. It was hard writing it. And I asked God to just put it in the best way of telling the story, not the point of it being so graphical, but to tell the story so people will understand that things are happening to small children against their will. And it's not just girls, it's boys also. So that's what I was writing about.
Oh, that's great. You know, Roz, what I like that because, you know, you said something very powerful, and that we definitely need to be aware of the signs. You know, when it comes to, you know, our kids and dealing with different things like that. For someone who has also been molested at a young age, I definitely understand. And being able to get to that point where you're able to share that with others, and be able to free yourself from that, that's everything. You know, it's a very emotional and also just rewarding experience, because you're basically just kind of reliving that situation as you share it, but being able to say, you know what, I'm not bound by this anymore. I'm completely free from this. And being able to share your story with others, and then have others be, you know, transformed or empowered just by you sharing yours, so that they will be able to speak up. One thing that I've noticed is that a lot of victims, you know, a lot of people who have experienced that, they don't necessarily speak up, and it can be a fear. You know, sometimes, just like you said, yours didn't come out until, you know, much later. And I definitely think that we should look for those signs in others. As a single mom, you know, I'm protective of my child, my daughter, because of that. But I've also learned that I could not live in fear because of what happened to me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was more of, you know, when I first had her, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's a girl. Like, you know, I can't let her around any and everybody, or this can't happen and that can't happen. And God brought it to me that, you know, okay, yes, you're still holding on to what happened to you. So I had to let that go. And then once letting that go, I had to understand, yes, there's nothing wrong with being protective over your child, but there's no need to live in fear. So even though I'm protective of her, I don't live in fear, because what I learned is that through my family, that was almost like, and I know a lot of people don't really bring it up, but it was almost like a generational curse in a sense. It was things that happened to my grandmother, and then it kept going on down the line. And I got to a point, I was like, wait a minute, God, like, we're going to stop this right here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
This is going to stop right here. This is not going to go to my daughter. You know, it stops with me. That's it. Now, for someone who has experienced that, you know, after sharing your story, you know, what did you notice about just you in general? Did you, like, how rewarding was it to be able to share that with people, you know, even for those in your family who did not know about it?
It was still some mixed emotions and rewarding at the same time, like a sweet and sour or a funny bone type of deal going on. But some who knew, and then some who didn't, it was like, well, why didn't you? They couldn't understand why you didn't say anything or whatnot. But then some, you know, actually had some who shared that I don't think I would have believed you anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's everybody, it would have been, like some peanut M&Ms. You don't know which one you're going to bite into. So you still have to stand your ground in boldness and courage to say and do what has happened, because there's so many underlying situations going on that are in the dark that need to come out into the light. And the thing about it, to have been dealing with that formed the type of person that I would operate as, where I believe that when that happens to an individual, that's not really the way God wired your DNA. So we have to grow. That's why I was so blessed to even, as I learned you and Arena, to be beautiful and to be authentic. How can I retract and realign myself to the original DNA of how God wanted me to live my life, how he wanted me to share with others, how he wanted me to give to others, how he wanted me to love others. I even asked myself, was I supposed to be in the Child Protective Services venue? You know what I'm saying? Re-asking about that now. But now that I'm able to deal and share and encourage adults who had never told the story or just now getting to the point to tell the story, helping them to realign their lives and being delivered and to come into a new freedom to share and not to be ashamed or feel like it was their fault. So it's been very, very interesting. And even some who have been affected like I have, they tell me, but you always smiling. How do you do that? And I have a book that's called Stop It and Smile. And stop it means stop the lower nature thinking that causes negativity or distractions, and smile is simply make intentional love encounters, starting with yourself first. So you know how we're on the plane and the flight attendant says, put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you help someone. And you can be in a bad place, in a challenging place in life, if you had been molested or any type of trauma that may have happened in your life, that you turn into a codependency and a neediness to do and jump in front to help everybody else, and you're not really helping yourself. Because until you really realize that there was something traumatic that happened in your life, you've got to be able to be delivered from that. Fix it, embrace it, look yourself in the mirror, and get the help if you need to get the help. And in our culture, I think it's, I don't know what word to put on it, but a lot of our culture, I think it might be pride, and it could be because we kept secrets for so long, and we were concerned about how the family would think. But to go lay on a couch, which you don't really technically do that like the old days, you go sit in a psychologist's office, and I'm so glad that I got to be the other part of Seema's call, because I'm going to have to contact her. But to deal with the mindset, to go into a change is a lot of work. And I feel like if people really did the smile part, simply make intentional love encounters, starting with their self first, we would never even have time for envy, jealousy, and strife, because there's so much work to do within ourselves on a daily basis. And I think the world has it backwards, that when we do work with ourselves first, people are saying that that's an arrogant or a condescending way or a selfish way. But I think that's the only time God really gives permission for us to be selfish, is for us to know ourselves through him, that he is the vertical of our life, and we need to get the horizontal part of our life together by just meditating and soaking in his word day to day. And I'm not perfect. I think when you said, Nakia, Roz, who are you? Sometimes I want to still say, hey, I'm still a work in process. Even though the accolades are there about being an author, a mentor, a coach, an encourager, I still want people to know that I'm still a work in progress. It's effort every single day to emulate Christ. I still have days that I put my own foot in my mouth, but they're farther and few between than close up of what I would have maybe looked at 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So we just got to really, be authentic, know that there's beauty, not just for the women, but for the men also, and, in ourselves. And what you and Arena are doing, being able to share stories, people come to the call, I think that closes the gap that people are saying, hey, she's just like me, he's just like me. And, we might have a different flavor about the situation, and even though it may be a common denominator, but we can never walk in someone else's shoes to know how they feel. We only know our own story, and then we can use our story to be able to share, encourage, elevate, and empower others so that they can be free and they can have delivery also.
That is so true, so true. There's a couple of things that you said that stood out to me. One of them was about recognizing that, we had been hurt. I think we wear a mask, and sometimes we hold things in and don't acknowledge that we've been hurt. So we go our day-to-day life like nothing has happened. We kind of block it out like it never happened. So that is the first step to healing, acknowledging that this happened to me. And once you do that, sharing it with other people, which has got to be hard, it's not an easy thing, but it helps other people as well come to terms with what happened to them. And another thing you said was about taking care of ourselves. That is something that we as women don't do. I don't know if it's in our nature to take care of others first, but that is what we do. I mean, especially as a mother, our children, our husband, and then our friends, and our family, and then work. We're always last. We're always last. So it is very, very important to take care of ourselves, because if we don't take care of ourselves, how can we take care of someone else or pour into someone else or help someone else? We're physically exhausted. We're depleted because we've given everything away, but we haven't had anyone pour into us, and we haven't poured into ourselves. So I think that is very, very important. One of the things that I absolutely love about you is that you are very encouraging, and you always make a point to acknowledge people that may have helped you along the way or helping you now, who have encouraged you. Why do you think that's so important to do?
My mother taught me, the first time I heard the words relational currency was from my mother. And a situation had happened that she identified some selfishness in me when I was a young girl, and she worked at a bank. She was the first African-American teller at Colorado National Bank, and I thought that word was so powerful, and I didn't hear it again until I met two dear friends, Dr. Richmond and Anna McCoy, and I heard it again. And the Lord is saying, Roz, that's what you're about, is relational currency. This is what you need to do. And when my mom taught me about that, she says, with your every drop and your every being of what God can do, always acknowledge the people who have helped pave your way. And even when others don't acknowledge it, don't be hurt by it, because God is going to honor you. Another reason is that because we cannot be solopreneurs, we have to be collabpreneurs, and we have to work together. People actually think that they can survive by themselves, but even the hermit who's under the street, if he is homeless, he's still going to the trash can to get something so that he can survive. That still came about from someone else. And that's the way she put it to me. She was like, this doesn't sound nice, but he still had to rely on someone else's contribution. So when she taught me that, I've always been able to do that, and God has blessed me in many ways. And I feel like there's a lot of people, even for most of us who may, in this circle arena of who we are as far as coaches and speakers, people say the industry is saturated, and I beg to differ, because whatever your signature piece is, it's there. And there's some underlying handling things where people just should take time to say where I picked this up from. Just slow it down a little bit and acknowledge it. You're still shining your own way because your signature piece is for that audience. But I think it's very important to identify that, and that also helps to people to know that they're free of shame and condemnation. Being able to share what each other's gifts are, and it just makes a better and a brighter world to me to be able to do that. And because of that, believe it or not, then relational currency is very transparent, very authentic, very made real. Because when someone really needs a money situation to be taken care of, what if you didn't have the money, the actual currency to take care of a situation, but someone was enlightened about how you served them, how you honored them, how you had integrity about confidentiality of something they shared with you? Relational currency can trump money at any given time. And I know that many of us who are on this call know that they got a blessing that they were like, wow, how did this come about? And that's because you were able to speak into that person's life. You were able to uplift and elevate them to another level. I don't like to say next level, but I like to say a new realm and a new dimension. So I'm so thankful that my mother taught me relational currency. And yes, it blew me out of the water when I heard it again, because I was like, nobody don't know about that, So I want to say that I do work on relationships, and I just think it's important, and it goes for kids too. When they see adults doing it, then they'll do it too. They'll acknowledge it. So I think it's very, very, very important to do so. It doesn't always get done, but the more we practice it to be done, then people will appreciate and know that something hasn't been stolen, or we are acknowledging that person, and they can still come and let us know, because everybody wants to put a tag on what they have, and we should be able to do that by right. But still, how do we acknowledge it so that we know the birthright or the DNA of where that started from? So I still have to say that I got it from my mother, and then I heard it again from Dr. Richmond and Dr. Anna McCoy, who are very precious in my life. So I love the word relational currency.
That's good stuff. That's real good stuff, Ross. Now, you said something earlier that really stuck out to me. You said that, you want to tell people that even though you have, these different things going on, these different titles, that you are still a work in progress. And that's so important, because I share also that, even though we do authentic you and beautiful you, and, we talk about removing masks and living authentically, that's a daily process. It's a daily work. It's something that you have to do daily. Now, for you, as you started, recognizing and identifying who you are and things like that, and still understand that you are a work in progress, how do you celebrate your progress as far as, saying, okay, so I'm here now, but, I'm still a work in progress, but I'm not there? How does Roz celebrate your progress?
I have to say that I'm still working on the celebration of that, but right now the celebration of the progress is coming by really mining my temple. I don't want to say the word struggle for not to put condemnation on myself, because as you heard me mention, Dr. Japonica Walker, she is a very, very dear friend. She's my bestie, and she has taught me how to not put stress on myself emotionally and to reward myself. And for me, because I operate like a Speedy Gonzalez, I'm on the move all the time, I'm a big visionary person, but now I'm having to learn how to mic it out, which means how to write out details and love the details that God is learning to me, and to turn that into being therapeutic, because I am very abstract and very creative, but I'm learning now to accept it, because while I was growing up, me doodling or me being spastic and moving all the time Well, it looked like it got on some adults' nerves, and I got in trouble for it, so it was slam dunking me. But now I'm coming out in my brilliance that this is how God wired me. But God, I'm going to trust you for whatever environment I walk in at any given time, that you will shift me to how my aura should be at this moment. So I like working out. This is kind of funny. I'm starting to say I'm liking to do Facebook Live without having makeup on. That's being authentic and beautiful because of y'all. But the reason I like it is not to reveal myself, but to reveal the downloads that God is sharing with me, in hopes that because I do that live moment, there's someone who can truly feel my heart and know, hey, she's just like me. She's going through struggles, but she shared a very intimate moment of how God opened her eyes and opened her heart to have another layer of loving on herself. So those are things that I like to do. I do like to travel. I love to travel. If I had my way, I would have my own Cessna and my own pilot and go wherever I want to whenever I get ready to. So the rewards are very important. And for me, rewards could have been in the food level. It wasn't that I was eating a lot that took me to an area of being obese. It was that I had a lot of stress on me, and then I wasn't eating at all. But then when I would eat, I would eat things that were not nutritious for me. I ate because I felt like I was a crackhead. I wanted to have sugar. I wanted to have chips. I wanted to drink pop. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. But God said, okay, if you want to do that, then you're going to reap the repercussions of that. And I could say blissfully now, another reward is that even though I was not mining the temple the right way, I am so blessed that I am not on high blood pressure. I have no diabetes, and now pushing 60 years of age, just like the prisoner who was on the cross with the Lord. It's never too late to be late. If you just open your heart to the Father, he will start you right where you are. And so this last 30 days, I've actually dropped 20 pounds, and I've actually been eating like every 2 to 3 hours because your body needs nutrients. And it's amazing that when you really pay attention to what God is doing in your life and that he created this temple and that it can heal itself. And then even as Seema was talking about, the emotional part, I'm so indebted to how she shared tonight and her working on her master's, because she's learning what the mind does, that there's a lot of people who can be healed if they really understood what's actually captured in their mind that's holding them hostage. And we got to remember, somebody said it, I don't even remember, but, the bad stuff. Is the bad stuff paying your mortgage? Is the bad stuff paying rent in your mind? That's why I wrote Stop It and Smile. Stop the lower nature thinking that causes the negativity and the distractions, and be able to smile. Simply make an intentional love encounter starting with yourself. So the rewards can come in any way, even if it means you need to slow down and be peaceful, if it means you need to take a walk, if it means you need to take a nap because you just want to plain go to sleep because you're always a workaholic. Turn a reward into anything that's taking care of yourself.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Roz, we have thoroughly enjoyed you this evening. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to share with us and to pour into our audience. Let our listeners know how they can reach you.
You can reach me on Facebook as Roz Knighton Warfield. That's KNIGHTEN Warfield, WARFIELD. And you can also reach me at www.stopitandsmile. And for those of you in the area, and even if you want to travel, on October 21st, I will experience my first Smile experience, which will be a teaching and open to males and females. And we will talk about purpose, passion, people, and profit. And I know y'all know who's going to do the people part. But you can go to Facebook, look that up, and I'm also out there as God's Priority System at gmail.com. So you can message me if you like, or you can go to Facebook. And I'm normally in Facebook. That's what I would say is my tool, because I just happen to manage that a little bit better. And then I have the two books. The Stop It and Smile is on Amazon, and then the Soul Source book can be ordered directly by me, and that is tinyurl.com/Soul Source Roz, ROZ. And Arena and Nakia, I just want to say thank you again. It's such an honor, and I thank you that your spice of beautiful you and authentic you has continued to add more to the gumbo of life for me, to just really, even pushing 60 years of age, to be able to talk to those last bit of baby boomers who feel like they may have been stuck from, rearing up children, being a career woman, now having grandchildren, but they just feel like that there was no purpose or passion in their life. And that's what I'm wanting to teach women, that they can bring out their gifts and understand what their gifts and goals are, and use that as a worm on the hook to still bring others into the fold of Jesus Christ. So I just want to say you're loved, appreciated, celebrated, and valued, and I just thank you so much and for having this honor to share with your audience this evening.
Oh, thank you, Ross. Thank you for, just being you. I love your spirit. I absolutely do. And I believe we told you that the last time. It's so calming. I just love it. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for, being a part of this. And, we greatly appreciate it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, everyone. Well, we have had an amazing time tonight on the Beautiful You Authentic You radio show. I'm completely stoked. I'm blessed. I love it. I had a great time with Rob. We had a great time with Seema earlier, and this is awesome sauce, Serena. It is. It's completely awesome sauce. So we want to let you know that make sure that you join us next week, like we say every week. This is weekly, every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Beautiful You Authentic You radio show is live. Okay, I'm so excited because not only is this just broadcast, where you call in, we're on Facebook Live, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, and also Periscope. And, this is reaching many, many different countries. So I'm very excited about that. Just being able to share and have other people share and have other people in different countries listen and be empowered just by what we're sharing on this show. So that is completely awesome. I'm always stoked about, this, and that's great. So, Irina, is there any closing remarks or anything that you want to announce before we go?
I just wanted to take the time to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. Sunday nights are when you wind down and get prepared for your week. So if you got us on speakerphone, Facebook Live, or Twitter, or Periscope, wherever you're listening from, we appreciate you. We want you to share our show with people. If you know people that want to be a guest, or if you want to be a guest, reach out to us. We appreciate you guys taking the time to listen, and we will see you next week, same time.
Same time. See you later, love.
Bye.